Chapter 621 Nun Bzzz. Bzzz. Right now, Lin Fan was seated on a stool that was carved out of a piece of rock. He was wielding a metal fork in his hands that he had casually crafted out. However, what he did not expect was that these metal forks that were created from a few pieces of metal were in fact supreme-graded human weapons. This was something that he could never have imagined. Seemed like his weapon crafting skills were getting stronger with time. At this moment above a bonfire, a few pieces of dragon meat were being roasted to a beautiful golden brown shade. By the looks of it, it did seem pretty delicious. While Lin Fan was waiting for the meat to be cooked, he stretched out his fingers in boredom and poked at the dragon's blood that was spilled on the floor, turning into a mini river by now. Ding, congratulations on discovering dragon's blood. Absorb, ding, eternal god body experience points +1, ding, eternal god body experience points +1, holy f*** ck. This little experience points? That's trashy enough, isn't it? Lin Fan was completely contemptuous of this and took back his finger. Based on the books that he had read in the library, the dragon's blood was a tonic that could nourish one's body immensely with all sorts of mythical effects. If one were to bathe in a pool of dragon's blood, they would definitely be able to strengthen their bodies. In fact, their innate potential might even be increased through that. Lin Fan shook his head. Seemed like the books had thoroughly exaggerated the effects of the dragon's blood. To think that it would truly be this trash now that he had come across it personally. This was pretty disappointing, to be honest. This dragon's blood that was highly valued by the beings of the thousands of races was dismissed by Lin Fan just like that and cast aside into the realm of uselessness. Stomp, stomp, stomp. Suddenly, Lin Fan realized that there were a bunch of living beings were rushing towards his direction. Divine Celestial Level 1, True State. Desolate Celestial Full Cultivation State. Azure Celestial Upper Level State. So weak. Lin Fan shook his head and wasn't concerned in the least bit. As long as they didn't bother him, he wouldn't care about them at all. At this moment, a delicious aroma came at Lin Fan's face. It had been a long time since he had had something to eat. Therefore, his appetite was definitely raring to go right now. At this moment, somewhere not too far away, a group of figures was fumbling really rapidly. They seemed to be panicking, as though they were hiding from something. Those ancient race beings. What if they were to discover us? Sisters, we've got to hurry up. We must definitely not let those ancient race beings catch up to us. Otherwise, our outcomes will definitely be catastrophic. Damn it, I hate this. I hate the fact that I'm this weak and incapable of protecting everyone. This group of figures was composed of females. Each one of them was extremely ravishing in looks, absolutely breathtaking. Every single motion and action they made were enough to seduce the hearts of every single living thing in this world. Within this group of females, there was a particular female disciple who was the prettiest of them all. Her strength was also the strongest amongst them, presumably their leader. However, at this moment, her nerves were pretty much in a wreck as she cast her head back from time to time. She knew how dire the consequences would be if they were caught by the ancient race beings. Not only would they be trampled on by those ancient race beings, they would be devoured eventually as well. Hey girls, are y'all smelling this tantalizing aroma? Suddenly, a girl with a sharp pair of eyes spoke up at this moment. Zi-Yun. What sort of a time is this for you to still be thinking about food? The strongest girl lectured her immediately. To think that Zi-Yun would still be concerned about delicious food at this critical moment. I'm smelling it too. That's right. This aroma is really way too succulent. At this moment, this group of females who were in the midst of being chased exchanged glances with one another. They did not know where this aroma was coming from. Elder sister Piao. Take a look over there. There's someone there. Zi-Yun with the sharp gaze pointed at the distance with her tender fingers. Piao turned her sight over. Indeed, there was a man seated there in the distance. Lin Fan turned his head around and looked at these approaching girls. His eyes shone with a strange glint. What the hell were a bunch of beautiful women doing in such a dangerous forest? Lin Fan grabbed onto a piece of dragon meat and chewed it slowly. He then looked over at the masses and smiled. There's a bunch of ancient race beings chasing after us. You had better hurry up and run too. Even though Piao did not know who this person was, she could tell that he should be a being of the thousands of races by the looks of it, hence the careful reminder from her. Oh, I see. By the way, do you guys want to eat some dragon meat? Lin Fan replied indifferently. The moment Piao heard this, her face changed. She then gritted her teeth and didn't reply. After all, she had said what she had to. Since this guy didn't want to listen, then he couldn't blame them if anything happened to him. But just at this moment, what Piao had not expected was that her younger sister Ziyun would end up stopping instead and stand before this man. I'll eat it. Looking at this girl before him, Lin Fan smiled. What a smart lass. Ziyun. What are you doing? Piao screamed in a frantic tone. Elder sister. That colossal dragon ahead of you is way too scary. I'm afraid. I don't dare to head over. Ziyun replied with a tone that harbored a hint about something. Colossal dragon? What colossal dragon? Piao was stunned, not understanding what Ziyun was talking about. However, when she turned her head around and looked ahead of her, she was stumped on the spot. There was a gigantic carcass of a colossal dragon that was split into parts lying right there. That malevolent head of the colossal dragon was extremely imposing. Even if it were dead right now, the aura that was being emanated from it was extremely gut-smashing. Was this truly a colossal dragon? Then what was this? Piao stared at the barbecued meat in the man's hands blankly. You guys seem as though you must be really tired from running now. How about coming over to enjoy some meat? That'll help you replenish your energy. Lin Fan grinned. Even though he did not know who they were beings of the thousands of races as well. Since he was here, he might as well give them a bit of help as well. All of these chicks were stunned one by one. After that, they headed over slowly like the first lass. Hello, Piao came before Lin Fan. For a moment, she did not know what to say. Hello, Lin Fan smiled casually, oh, please have a seat wherever you'd like. After that, as though they had yet to react to this fact, the group of people circled the bonfire and sat down. It's all right. Eat heartily. If the ancient race beings were to catch up, let them be then. There's no need to be this nervous. Lin Fan smiled. Lin Fan was a man after all. Even though he was always chaste usually, how could he allow this bunch of beautiful girls to be scared witless by a bunch of ancient race beings? That would have them lose all of their aesthetics entirely. Yup. We're not nervous. Ziyun was pretty lively as her gaze swept around the surroundings. She had already realized that that was a true blue colossal dragon right there. Furthermore, the shocking thing was that the dragon's blood was spilled on the ground so wastefully. All of those plants and grass touched by the dragon's blood had already started to change, and were now way more flourishing than their counterparts nearby who had not received the nourishment from the dragon's blood. In fact, they could almost be medicinal spirit grass by now. Come, have a piece of dragon meat. Lin Fan handed over a piece of meat. Thank you. Even though Ziyun was still immersed in the state of being hunted down, she had calmed down by a fair bit now. However, when she touched the metal fork in her hands, she gasped out an exclamation. This, Ziyun looked at Lin Fan with an extremely flabbergasted face. She then stared at the metal fork in her hands with a stoned expression, unable to believe everything before her eyes. Even though Piao knew what her younger sister was planning, she was still pretty nervous nevertheless. After all, the ancient race beings were still right behind them. Even though this man was mysterious and seemed pretty strong, there was still no guarantee that he would definitely be able to take them down. Just as Piao was contemplating about this issue, she was taken aback by that exclamation from her younger sister. Ziyun, what's with you? Piao looked at Ziyun, startled. The other young ladies in the area were the same. They sat down pretty restlessly, extremely frightened. Elder sister, Ziyun held on to the metal fork in her hands. She wanted to say something, but her throat was stuck in disbelief at this moment. Chapter 622 Nun Lin Fan looked at this lively chick with a puzzled glance as his brows creased. Did this chick have some sort of a problem in her head? This metal fork. Ziyun could not believe that they would be using a supreme-graded human weapon just for barbecuing meat. Wasn't this too wasteful? Oh, that's just a supreme-graded human weapon, isn't it? Do you have to react so wildly over it? Noticing that the chick was talking about the metal fork, Lin Fan chuckled out casually, completely unconcerned about it at all. It was a mere supreme-graded human weapon. What was there to be shocked about? However, coming to think of it, the beings of the thousands of races did not have many treasures with them. That would make it understandable for these chicks, who were on the weaker side of things, to have it extremely difficult for them to obtain any treasure on their own. Piao was stunned at this moment as well as she cast her gaze on the metal fork. To think that this plain-looking metal fork would be a supreme-graded human weapon. In order to verify this fact, Piao went to touch it with her fingers personally. Instantly, she could feel the surge of energy that was cruising through it. Highs, Lin Fan sighed helplessly. Seemed like even if he didn't want to act out, he still managed to get the panties of these chicks in a bunch indirectly. This was truly unexpected. He had just casually crafted these supreme-graded human weapons. They weren't even anything good to begin with. But each of these chicks let out a look of wanting to get it yet being completely helpless. Looking at their dilemma, Lin Fan could not help but chuckle out in his heart. This meat is good, isn't it? Once we're done with it, you guys can have the metal forks as well. Lin Fan waved his hands dismissively. These words came across to the ears of these chicks as though this man couldn't give a sh*t about these metal forks. Piao, Ziyun, and the others looked at Lin Fan in shock. They then tried their best to repress this feeling of excitement as they wielded the metal forks with trembling hands. As long as they were to finish the meat, this person was going to give them the metal forks. This was something that they could have never ever imagined in their lives. Ziyun opened her mouth and started with a gentle bite on the meat. To these chicks here, their greatest goal right now was to finish all of the meat. Just as Ziyun placed the meat into her mouth, her face changed suddenly. Her aura began to rise steadily. This meat. The only thing on Ziyun's mind right now was the metal fork. However, upon swallowing her first bite of the dragon's meat, she was completely dumbfounded. That was because as she chewed down on the piece of meat, she realized the endless amount of power that was being released from it. As these powers entered her body along with the meat, they were converted into a long river of energy that rampaged around her body. Piao looked at Ziyun, who was changing right now, in astonishment. Without any hesitation, she then chomped down on her piece of dragon meat. The transformations that happened were exactly the same as Ziyun. Without waiting any further, all the surrounding chicks chomped down on their own meats as well. One by one, their faces changed as they revealed looks of disbelief. At this moment, even Lin Fan was stunned. Did these chicks really have a problem in their heads? Wasn't this just some meat that they were eating? Did they have to give off such an expression? Was there truly a need for this? Even though Lin Fan was a divine celestial level 4, undying state being, the powers within his body were as vast as the boundless seas. Therefore, the power that was contained within this dragon's meat was extremely negligible for him. However, for these weak chicks, a single piece of dragon's meat was akin to swallowing a godly elixir. Ziyun. Your cultivation state. You've leveled up. Elder sister, I've broken through. They've broken through too. Why does this dragon meat possess such a strong amount of power? In order for one's meat to obtain an effect as such, one has to at least be a divine celestial level 4, undying state powerful being. That's the only way its powers can be infused into every single part of its body like this. The mass group of chicks looked at one another furtively, each of them revealing a look of disbelief. Ziyun looked at Lin Fan in utter shock, so much so that her words were starting to stammer. Oh, you guys have a keen eye for things. The cultivation state of this dragon was indeed a divine celestial level 4, undying state, Lin Fan chuckled. Lin Fan had not expected the meat of this colossal dragon to give these chicks this much of a buff. Upon receiving Lin Fan's response, all the chicks were utterly flabbergasted. To think that they would be able to get a taste of the meat of a colossal dragon of divine celestial level 4, undying state in all their years of living. This wasn't something they could have ever imagined. Instantly, the group of chicks turned their gazes towards that river of blood that was spilled on the ground. Could that be the dragon's blood of the divine celestial level 4, undying state colossal dragon 2? Legend has it that the blood of the old ancient beast colossal dragon race is able to strengthen one's constitution. There's even a chance for one's innate potential to be increased. This is especially the case for colossal dragons who are stronger. The effects would increase along with their strength. Just as these chicks were going to indulge in their urges to leap forth and have a taste of that dragon's blood for themselves, a growl came forth from the distance. Haha. To think that you guys would stop running. Now, this to save us some effort, these ravishing living beings of the succubus race are indeed blessed by the heavens. Each and every one of them looks extremely petite and beautiful. Not only that, their bodies are tender and their scent is extremely nice. Come on, run. Why aren't you guys running anymore? Is it because you guys are too tired to run? These nefarious taunts came from all directions. They were relentless and fearsome, bringing with them a might that caused one to shiver at the sound of them. To these beings of the thousands of races, the ancient race was akin to an envoy of the devil himself. Horrifying, cruel, bloodthirsty, without a single strain of humanity. The ancient race is here. The moment these chicks heard the sounds of the ancient race, they could not help but break out in cold sweat and exchange glances with one another in fright. The ancient race beings had finally caught up. If this were the case, it meant that their relatives must have already been slain by these ancient race beings. The thought of this had their entire faces filled with immense anguish. Lin Fan sat there in a relaxed manner and looked at these figures that were approaching from the distance. The ancient race beings had a big build. Each of them was like a small mountain of their own. Their auras were even more imposing with the way they walked. The pitch-black skin and baleful faces were extremely terrifying to begin with. Some of the weaker beings of the thousands of races could even be shocked into screaming just at the sight of these ancient race beings alone. Just like that, a few hundred ancient race beings appeared before Lin Fan's group. To think that there's an additional living being. The moment an ancient race being caught sight of Lin Fan, his mouth left out a cruel grin. However, he didn't think much of Lin Fan at all. Looking at these ancient race beings, Lin Fan too did not have much interest in them. Their cultivation states weren't all that high. Even the highest amongst them was only a divine celestial level 3 paradise state being. Ziyun, Piao. At this moment, there was a cage with countless females within them that laid in the midst of these ancient race beings. Amongst these women, some of them were old while others were younger. Evidently, they hadn't managed to escape at all, and were eventually rounded up by these ancient race beings. The moment Ziyun and Piao heard these voices, their faces changed immediately as they let out a look of glee. At least their relatives hadn't been killed by these ancient race beings just yet. Ha ha ha, don't get anxious now. You guys will be able to have a reunion real soon. An ancient race being laughed mercilessly as his eyes shone with a vicious glow. Don't bother saving us. Hurry up and run. You guys are no match for these ancient race beings. Furthermore, there are more ancient race beings at the back. Looking at how Ziyun and the others had yet to make their way out, those of the succubus race who had been locked up were starting to get anxious as well. In this group right here, the leader of the ancient race beings was only that of a divine celestial level 3 paradise state being. However, in the army that was coming forth, there would be stronger ancient race beings there. Ever since the new sovereign King Wei had taken the seat, he had turned even more berserk. Activating his gigantic army, he went on a massacre of the beings of the thousands of races. The moment Lin Fan heard from these succubus race beings that there were even more ancient race beings coming forth from the back, his heart was filled with joy as he stood up immediately. To think that he would get this lucky. The heavens must really be shining on him. Yet another big lump of experience points was sending their own asses up his doorsteps. Taking a step forth, Lin Fan walked towards the ancient race beings. Catching sight of Lin Fan's actions, Ziyun and the others felt their hearts feeling conflicted as well. This was especially the case for Ziyun. The first time she laid her eyes on this man, she had already known that he was far from ordinary. However, she wondered if he would be a match for these ancient race beings. To these ancient race beings, this man who was walking towards them was simply just courting death. But since that was the case, it was good as well. It would save them some trouble. Ant-like living being. Go to hell. The leader of the ancient race beings hollered and grabbed out at Lin Fan's brains. Lin Fan shrugged his shoulders and gave off a chuckle as he pointed gently with his finger. That single action had everyone shuddering in shock after that. Chapter 623 None. You guys are simply way too weak. In terms of cultivation state, Divine Celestial Level 4, Undying State might not put Lin Fan as a heaven-defying being just yet, but if they were to compare in terms of brute strength, even a Divine Celestial Level 5, Essence Spirit State being might not have even 10% of Lin Fan's strength. This was even before considering the fact that Lin Fan's physical body state was now that of a Divine Celestial Level 8, Universal Elixir State being. Right now, Lin Fan was akin to a boss with an extremely high defense. Most commoners would definitely not be able to take him down at all. Courting death. The moment the ancient race being caught sight of this living being pointing out with his finger so casually, he was thoroughly enraged. He slammed out with a punch in return. Containing his paradise within this punch, the powers were boundless and gushing. Even though this punch had the powers to devastate the world, it was still far from enough in the eyes of Lin Fan. Crack. The entire void seemed to have been hardened up by this finger of Lin Fan. With a loud crack, the void began to shatter as though it was just a piece of mirror. Bam, bam. All of the ancient race beings could feel as though an external force had made its way into their bodies. Immediately after that, an irresistible series of tragic wails rang through the air as they exploded into a mess of flesh and blood. Ding! Congratulations on killing Divine Celestial Level 3, Paradise State Ancient Race Being. Ding! Congratulations on killing Desolate Celestial Full Cultivation State Ancient Race Being. Ding! Congratulations on killing Divine Celestial Level 1, True State Ancient Race Being. Snatch. Snatch. Even though the experience points weren't that much, they were still worth taking in the end. At this moment, their essence, spirit, and vitality were absorbed by Lin Fan into his paradise to boost it as well. Demon City was being nourished within the paradise right now. Therefore, as the paradise strengthened, so would the Demon City as well. With a single move, those hundreds of ancient race beings were wiped instantly. To Lin Fan, this was practically effortless, and it didn't have him spending too much. Clang. Zi Yun's sharp and lively gaze were fixated in disbelief at this moment. The supreme graded human weapon metal fork that she had regarded as a precious treasure dropped to the ground in an instant as well. All of the other chicks were equally flabbergasted. To think that these ancient race beings who were so fearsome and terrifying in their eyes would be killed in a single finger by this mysterious man. Wasn't this way too horrifying? How could this be? Zi Yun and the others weren't the only ones feeling the same shock. It was the same thing for those of the succubus race who were trapped within the cages. The scene right now had them watching with their jaws agape. Who in the world was this man? How in the world could he be this strong? Was he a friend of Zi Yun and the others? Lin Fan tossed his robes back as his long hair breezed in the wind. His eyes were fixated at the distant sky. Over there, the magic powers in the sky were rampant, as the heavens showed a weird phenomenon. Evidently, an intense battle must be breaking out over there. By the looks of it, there must be more beings of the thousands of races who were being held down by the ancient race beings. There was no way to tell of the situation over there right now. However, to Lin Fan, all of these ancient race beings were still experience points nevertheless. These were experience points that he could easily get with the flip of his palms. If he were to give it up just like this, it would be a real pity. By the way the skies were looking with the chaotic powers, these ancient race beings did not seem like they were too weak either. By the time the masses had reacted over from the situation, they looked over at this man whose long robes and hair were floating in the breeze right now. Every single one of them was intoxicated by his charm. Compared to earlier on, this man now had an aura of a powerful being, which was slamming onto their faces like a tidal wave. Some of the shyer girls of the succubus race started blushing immediately. Evidently, they already had a crush on this man. However, to Lin Fan, he was long used to all of this by now. Given his handsome disposition, it was something natural for all the girls to be attracted towards him. Bam! Suddenly, Lin Fan leapt off from the ground and headed over into the distance. Zi-yun and the others wanted to say something, but before they could, the other party had already left. With that, they hurriedly rescued the rest of their relatives. Zi-yun, Piao, do you guys know that man? A middle-aged woman with an exceptional grace asked. No, we don't. We only bumped into this man while we were trying to make our escape. We don't even know his name. Zi-yun shook her head. She had not expected that this man would be this strong. To think that those formidable ancient race beings who were practically invincible in their eyes would seem so feeble and weak in the presence of this man. That was something that had them shocked entirely. The direction he's headed to right now seems to be where the ancient race army is. The leader of our race is still fighting with the ancient race beings over there. Let us hurry over as well. At this moment, Lin Fan was excited beyond words. Ever since he had turned stronger, this life of his was getting more fun by the day. This was especially the case when he got the chance to show off in front of chicks. That feeling was way too domineering. That calm expression he gave off just now, that haughty face of his, that fleeting disposition of a champion, all of that must have charmed everyone on the scene entirely. Haha, Lin Fan burst out laughing as he flipped his body in the sky. Evidently, he was overwhelmed with joy right now. The closer he got, the more Lin Fan could sense the immense powers that being sensed from the battlefield. However, compared to Grandmaster Yun, this was still way too far to compete. Leader of the succubus race, give it up. You guys are completely surrounded by us. You've got no hope at all. At this moment, the leader of the succubus race was surrounded by 3 ancient race consuls. These 3 ancient race beings had a mighty aura, with a boundless power emanating from them. Floating in the void, they seemed to be causing the entire void to freeze up. In fact, they even seemed to be fusing with the universe at this moment. The leader of the succubus race was a young lady. Every single move of hers seemed to possess an immense charm. Looking at this girl, those 3 ancient race consuls could not help but let out a lustful look in their eyes as they gulped down their saliva. If the ancient race beings wanted to play with the beings of the thousands of races, they would undoubtedly have to go for those of the succubus race. After all, the nature and bodies of these succubus race beings were definitely going to be a memory that was worth relishing over and over again. This was especially the case for the leader of the succubus race. She was someone that these 3 consuls had been lusting over for the longest time now. The moment they caught wind of the hiding place of the succubus race, even the ancient race beings themselves were fighting over hunting them. After all, hunting down the succubus race was an extremely pleasant task to do. Leader, we must definitely die in combat. Otherwise, if we were to be caught by them, our fates would definitely be worse than death. A group of women stood beside the leader of the succubus race. These women had a sharp gaze in their eyes. Their aura was steady, and their cultivation states were far from weak. There must have been someone who sold us out. Our succubus race is aloof from the affairs of the world, and we were hidden so deeply, there's no way we would have been discovered. Meiji must be the one who betrayed us. Back when we had rescued her from the hands of the ancient race beings, I had already realized that something was off with her, Meiji. The faces of the leader of the succubus race and the others froze up. They looked around hurriedly, and noticed that Meiji had gone missing. At this moment, a sly laughter came from behind the ancient race beings. There, a Thai-looking woman, who was scantily clad, leaned on the body of an ancient race consul as she used her long finger to curl at her fellow succubus race beings. You guys should hurry up and surrender. Our dear consul will be sure to cherish and take good care of you guys, haha. One of the ancient race consul burst out laughing. As though he was cradling a small bird, he held this woman of the succubus race in his arms and laughed devilishly. She's right. Bow down to us and I shall guarantee that you're free from your sufferings and torments. Otherwise, you shall definitely lead a fate worse than death. The beings of the succubus race glared at Meiji as rage burned in their hearts. HMPH. We would rather die than submit to you. Hee hee. If you really wanna die, wouldn't that be easy though? You guys are completely surrounded by the ancient race right now. Where else can you escape to? The ancient race consul spread out his arms and laughed wildly. With the succubus race in the center, rings after rings of ancient race beings were encircling them right now. Densely packed and boundless, they were like locusts that were covering an entire field with a blanket. There was no way out. For these beings of the succubus race, there was no longer an escape path. Each of them let out a look of despair as they exchanged glances with one another. They knew that these three were part of the 7 consuls under the command of the sovereign King Wei. Their powers were formidable, it wasn't something they could possibly hope to go against. Are you guys thinking of self-destructing with your paradise? But, it's a pity you guys wouldn't be able to do that. With your consul here, do you guys think that I would allow that? The ancient race consul roared out in laughter. Opening his arms, the laws of the world around them began to change immediately. The beings of the succubus race suddenly realized that their paradises were being forcefully suppressed. They couldn't even self-destruct from within. At this moment, the leader of the succubus race and the others were truly despairing. It had just struck them that these ancient race beings had just been playing with them from the very beginning. But, it seemed as though they'd grown tired of playing these games by now. Looking at these sinister and hideous-looking ancient race beings that were surrounding them, they truly felt anguished within their hearts. Indeed, this didn't disappoint me. To think that there are so many ancient race beings over here. At this moment, a gleeful voice rang out from the void suddenly. Who's there? The faces of the ancient race consul grew stern as they looked over into the distance. At this juncture, who would dare to come and throw their lives away? All the succubus race beings turned their heads in unison at the distance as well. The moment they looked over, their faces changed as their eyes shone with astonishment. The sight in the distance had all of them utterly shocked right now. Chapter 624. None. At the end of the day, the thing that mattered the most to Lin Fan was his entrance. One could never ever make do with an entrance that was anything less than spectacular. Otherwise, how was Lin Fan to answer to himself after his lifetime of achievements so far? Floating in the air right now was a colossal dragon that was 100,000 feet long. Its majestic disposition and boundless dragon might encompass the entire world. The scales on its body were extremely shiny, akin to glowing heavenly soldiers in the sky right now. And, on the head of this majestic colossal dragon stood Lin Fan. Hands behind his back, his eyes looked down on all the living beings of this world in disdain. Even though the Thunder Trainer King was small in stature, he too was draped in an intricate robe. Toying with thunderbolts in both of his hands while having his long hair dance in the air, there was a Buddha glow gleaming at the back of his head as he smiled imposingly. The big ancient demon held the demon city in his hands, and stood tall with his towering figure, stretching into the heavens and earth. With these two fellas standing behind Lin Fan, he looked more domineering than ever. At this moment, the leader of the succubus race and the others looked over at the direction of Lin Fan. All of them were stunned. That 100,000 feet long colossal dragon was the one that had all of their jaws dropping apart especially. That was one of the top 10 old ancient beasts. Each of the old ancient beasts were extremely ferocious. In fact, even the ancient race might not want to face them at times. To think that it would have a man stand on its head and bow down as his pet willingly. This colossal dragon here was a product of that precious paradise of Lin Fan. In order to manifest this colossal dragon out of it, he had to expend quite a bit of spirit chi of his paradise. However, even though this colossal dragon looked intimidating from the front, its cultivation state wasn't that high. It was only that of a divine celestial level 3 paradise state. Despite that, Lin Fan knew that there was a huge potential for this colossal dragon. Because it was able to continue cultivating on its own. Who are you? The 3 ancient race consuls looked at this man in the void warily as they asked with a stern face. Lin Fan's entrance did have the 3 consuls of the ancient race a little shaken because of it. This was truly the first time they had seen anyone enter as such. Heck, even the sovereign King Wei wasn't as domineering at this. Yours truly here as the mother*seeking human king, Lin Fan. Lin Fan tossed back his robes and replied casually. It had been some time now since Lin Fan has started using this name. However, he still had the feeling that there weren't many people who knew about this. To Lin Fan, this didn't make any sense at all. He had toppled the entire Despair City, killed the previous sovereign King Wei, and annihilated an entire ancient race army. Which of these weren't an earth-shattering achievement on its own? But, despite being so, why the hell didn't anyone know about it? What about those fellas that were saved by yours truly? Were they doing their jobs of advertising this name for yours truly? At this moment, the faces of the three ancient race consuls changed immediately as they hollered out, "You're the mother seeking human king, Lin Fan." Initially, Lin Fan did not bear any hope that this would play out. However, upon seeing the reaction of the three ancient race consuls, he started laughing within his heart. Seemed like these guys know about him. What Lin Fan had not expected was for the entire ancient race army to start clamoring about at the sound of this name. He's the mother seeking human king, Lin Fan. That's the human who is extremely vicious and never shows any mercy to the ancient race. We've captured some beings of the thousands of races out there. After tormenting and beating them up, they finally confessed up. The Despair City, the previous sovereign King Wei, all of them were done in by this guy. What Lin Fan did not know was that even though he would leave his name at every battlefield he went to, he would always kill all of them, so there was no one left to report about it. Therefore, it was entirely impossible to spread this title of his at all. However, there was once when these ancient race beings had managed to capture some of the beings of the thousands of races. Suddenly, all of those beings of the thousands of races started shouting and exclaiming about some mother seeking human king or something. After some intense beating up, they finally confessed and admitted every single one of the mother seeking human king's crimes. The ancient race beings then checked it out on the fugitive list. With that, they realized that this human's ranking was soaring up the charts rapidly. And this was none other than the mother seeking human king, Lin Fan. That's right. Yours truly here as the mother seeking human king, Lin Fan. The Despair City was destroyed by yours truly. Sovereign King Wei was killed by yours truly. That 1 million ancient race soldiers at the Fire-Water Secret Grounds? That's right, yours truly was the one who had them slain as well. I'm supposing that none of these are secrets for you guys of the ancient race, eh? Lin Fan commented indifferently as though this was something really normal he was talking about right now. But of course, it was just in case these ancient race beings did not know about it. Lin Fan was still careful to name out every single one of his achievements. At the start, the beings of the succubus race did not have any idea who this man was. However, upon hearing those words, their faces turned into one of shock. To think that this man's battle achievements would be this shocking. To the beings of the thousands of races in the ancient saint world, this man was practically a hero. As for the ancient race beings, he was the devil. The three consuls of the ancient race exchanged glances with one another. Right now, there was a bubbling fear in their hearts. However, they did not know just how true this was. If this man before them had truly killed the previous sovereign King Wei, they would definitely not be a match for him. However, as a being of the ancient race, there was no such thing as fear in their lives. The only thing they had to do was to kill all the beings of the thousands of races. Mother seeking human king, Lin Fan, eh? Then, we've just got to see whether you've truly got these capabilities. The three ancient race consuls roared out together. Whether or not I've got the capabilities is something that you guys will find out in a bit. Lin Fan let out a grin. Immediately after, he grabbed at the ancient race army. This single grab was akin to grabbing out at the entire world. It was just a simple, casual arm. However, it expanded endlessly and covered the entire sky, holding these ancient race beings in his hand. His powers were akin to that of a dragon. With immense energy contained within them, he closed his fingers and pinched, squeezing them into explosions immediately. Bang! Bang! One by one, these ancient race beings ruptured out. Their meat and blood spewed all across the sky, converting into essence, spirit, and vitality that was all absorbed by Lin Fan. What a cruel human. Those ants of the ancient race could only let out looks of fear as they caught sight of how this human had killed all those ancient race beings with a single squeeze. Horrifying. This was way too horrifying. When dealing with these normal beings of the thousands of races, they should be doing it with absolute ease. But, why were they so helpless in the face of this terrifyingly strong mother-seeking human king? To think that he could snuff out a huge bunch of them in a single stomp. Consuls, save us. The ancient race army started wailing out tragically. This mother-seeking human king seemed to be addicted right now. Each time he struck out, a huge bunch of ancient race beings would die just like that. Lin Fan wasn't too bothered about the experience points these ant-like ancient race beings gave. Instead, the essence, spirit and vitality they provided were essential for the paradise. Even though the benefits they gave individually were minuscule, if they were to accumulate, it would be pretty significant as well. Mother-seeking human king, stop that right now. You shall die for killing our ancient race beings. The moment the consuls of the ancient race caught sight of this, their faces turned terrible as they burst out at Lin Fan with a killing intent. All three of them were divine celestial level 6, law state beings. Even though they looked strong on the surface, they were still nothing compared to Lin Fan. Honestly, Lin Fan couldn't even be bothered in the least bit. Perhaps he should just let them warm up a little before he went in for the kill. Watch out. Looking at how the three ancient race consuls were charging at Lin Fan, the beings of the succubus race could not help but warn outs. Go, Lin Fan tossed back his robes and ordered. These ancient race consuls were just like fishes on a chopping block for him right now. Even if they wanted to run, they wouldn't be able to do so. Hearing him, the Thunder Trainer King and the big ancient demon charged up at these ancient race consuls immediately. Chapter 625 None Ancient Saint Origins Ancient Saint Fist. Devastate the world. There was no way these three consuls of the ancient race can allow this human to continue killing as such. Hence, they laid out their killer moves. Three fists rained out, as an energy descended from the unknowns of the ancient saint world's heaven's will and boosted them. A single punch to break through everything, bringing with it a limitless amount of power. Every single fist was as massive as a mountain, bringing with it a tremendous force that caused the entire void to vibrate. The fists turned into images of fist gods. These fist gods represented the epitome of fist moves, possessing an endless amount of law within them. Mother-seeking human king. Go to hell. The three ancient race consuls did not know whether this was the real mother-seeking human king. Therefore, they wouldn't get too careless, and wanted to take down this human with everything they had in a single move. This set of fist moves was initially a combined attack by all 7 consuls together. The moment all of them were to use it together, it would bring forth a phenomenal strength. But at this moment, there were only 3 consuls who were deploying the skill together. Despite that, the amount of force was still tremendous, definitely way stronger than any other move that any other mere divine celestial level 6, law state being could deploy. Looking at these ant-like ancient race beings, Lin Fan opened his hands wide and continued slapping down. These dense number of palm strikes swooped down from the heavens in a flurry and slapped the ancient race army to death. Absorb. Absorb. Lin Fan was extremely elated in his heart right now. The spirit chi within his paradise was getting denser than ever. The mythical parasol tree, which was receiving all these essence, spirit, and vitality from the ancient race beings, was even more active right now. The flourishing branches were filled with a lush, green tone to them. There were flower spirits which were only the size of a palm that were dancing around the mythical parasol tree and singing along while nurturing it. Bam! 3 fists broke through the void and landed on Lin Fan's body. It's done. The 3 consuls of the ancient race were elated at this scene. As long as they were to land a full strike, no matter how strong the other party was, they would definitely die. However, the 3 consuls of the ancient race realized in disbelief that this single punch of theirs that contained all of their powers seemed to have no effect at all, as it landed onto the body of this human right here. It neither hurts nor itches. Lin Fan grinned while patting his clothes. If not for the fact that Grandmaster Yun of the Cloud Sect had helped to raise his physical body state to a divine celestial level 8, universal elixir state, these 3 fists would have given him a run for his money as well. The higher the status of the ancient race beings, the stronger their powers were. Be it in terms of comprehension or innate potential, all of these guys were top-tiered existences within the ancient race. These 3 ancient race consuls were probably second to none in the ancient race, reigning over everyone else. Other than the sovereign King Wei, they were the second in command. How could this be? At this moment, the three consuls of the ancient race yelped out in shock. To think that this human could have defended against their killer move with such ease? This man was truly the mother-seeking human king. Not only that, has his cultivation state reached a point which was too far for them to reach. The moment the leader of the succubus race caught sight of how the killer move of the three consuls did no damage to Lin Fan at all, she was immediately taken aback. However, her shock turned into a smile soon after. If this were truly the case, the succubus race might just be able to get out of this all right. Mother-seeking human king, Lin Fan? Since when did such a powerful being exist within the ancient saint world? Why hadn't they heard of it before? Why could it not be? This is all because you guys are far too weak, Lin Fan replied in disdain. Right after Divine Celestial Level 4, Undying State was the Essence Spirit state. For most people, if they wanted to become a powerful being of Essence Spirit state, they could first have to cultivate out their second Essence Spirit. However, because Lin Fan possessed the system, all he required was experience points, and that was all. As long as his experience points were enough, he would automatically enter the Divine Celestial Level 5, Essence Spirit state. With that, he could automatically form the second Essence Spirit as well. There was no way Lin Fan was going to let these three consuls of the ancient race go at any cost. However, at this moment, Lin Fan was in fact more interested in crushing all of the ants of the ancient race army. Even though the big ancient demon had already been subjugated by him and turned into a weapon spirit, it was still imposingly mighty. A single move of his could bring forth an immense amount of power that was unparalleled. Just by opening his mouth, he swallowed countless ancient race beings into his tummy. A single wave of his hands brought forth an immense vortex cyclone that blended the ancient race beings into dregs. If there were enough ants, even an elephant could die by their bites. However, to Lin Fan, these ants were merely toothless ants. Right now, the Thunder Trainer King was showing off his Buddhistic nature as he was spouting out words of the sutra. Every single character of the words floated out gently in the world, cleansing every single living being out there. Under the cleansing of these sutras, those evil-looking ancient race beings turned extremely calm and docile immediately. In a jiffy, the Thunder Trainer King flicked out with his finger. Instantly, the ancient race beings disappeared, and were brought into the paradise. The moment they entered the paradise, they exploded out instantly. Their meat, blood, essence, spirit, and vitality were all divided out and absorbed by the living beings of the paradise, turning into nothingness. ARGGGGGGHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHWhile the earthlings were being massacred by this human, their hearts burned with rage uncontrollably. I'm afraid we aren't his match at all. However, no matter what, we've got to kill him. Damned human, damned human. I swear that I'll never let it go until I kill him. The three consuls of the ancient race exchanged glances with one another, their eyes filled with a maddened frenzy. MOTHERF*CKING Human King. The three of them howled wildly. Today, even if we have to give it our all, we'll definitely kill you. Initially, Lin Fan had intended to just ignore these three consuls and leave them for the last. However, there was something that was causing Lin Fan to frown slightly. All of a sudden, a strange devastating amount of energy erupted out of these three ancient race consuls out of nowhere. As the leader of the succubus race caught of these changes, her face changed as she yelled out, "Watch out. These three consuls are trying to use their paradise, essence spirit, and law as a sacrifice to unleash a horrifying attack." Lin Fan's expression did not change as he continued watching. He then smiled casually, "Seems like you guys are really going to go all out just to kill me, eh? HMPH. We know that you're the mother-seeking human king, and that you're strong. Right, we definitely aren't your match. But, no matter what, we must have you pay the price." The three consuls of the ancient race growled nefariously. Instantly, their bodies shone with a bright light, as their paradise, essence spirit and law surged out from their bodies and fused together. Massacring ancient arrow. With that, the three consuls of the ancient race disappeared entirely. All that remained before Lin Fan's face was a bow. The aura of this bow was berserk, as it was filled with a massacring aura. On the surface of the bow, a facial expression appeared. This was one of the ancient race beings. Damned human. Did you really think that we're going to die? All have you know that there's nothing our Lord Utmost Being cannot do. Even if we were to die, our Lord Utmost Being would definitely resurrect us. As for you, you shall perish entirely under the might of this arrow. Your soul and spirit shall disintegrate as well. Boom. Within the void, lightning flashed, and a consciousness descended from the unknowns. May the blessings of the heavens will be with me, may the heavens will descend. The almighty heavens will go forth, arrow of the heavens will. Instantly, an even more terrifying form of energy erupted forth as a pitch-black long arrow floated gently in the skies. This long arrow was wrapped with a mysterious source of energy around it. Holy F***CK. These guys are playing cheat. Lin Fan had not expected the heavens will of the ancient saint world to be this brazen. How dare it help the ancient race so openly as such? This power overwhelmed everything. This was not even including that mysterious power that was wrapped around the arrow above it. That aura reeked of the heavens will of the ancient saint world. With the boost of the heavens will at this place, they were bent on killing him right here and now. Go and die. The big bow started arching as it shone with a sharp glint. It fused into one with that devastating long arrow. Suddenly, a loud explosion rang out across the entire place. A streak of light bolted out at Lin Fan with immense force, surpassing everything before it, including time, space, and the void. Die. You must absolutely die for us. On the long arrow, 3 familiar faces appeared howling venomously. Chapter 626. None. A chilling aura spread out in all directions, as though a tidal wave had just engulfed the entire world. Despite being at some distance from the point of impact, the beings of the succubus race could feel the ripples in their hearts. Under this frightful aura, everyone's face was pale as they let out looks of horror. The leader of the succubus race looked over at the distance, wondering what the final outcome of this would be like. It was no longer any secret that the ancient race was blessed with the help of the heavens will of the ancient saint world. In fact, there was even some powerful being who said that the heavens will of the ancient saint world was just in a deep slumber right now. Therefore, it could only react to certain energies from the unknowns, and was unable to directly attack by itself. Once the day came when the heavens will of the ancient saint world were to awaken once more, all of the beings of the thousands of races out there would definitely be subjugated as slaves by it, or perhaps die in its hands. Just what in the world is going on over there? A beam of bright light shot out through that arrow, blinding the entire world in its radiance. Zi Yun and the others were rushing over here. However, they stopped right in their tracks. They could feel an aura that was causing their hearts to palpitate furiously. This energy was both berserk and sinister. Damned mother *seeking human king. Your actions are unpardonable. Today, we shall have you die under this arrow. The 3 faces on the arrow held out balefully, and were extremely angst right now as they let out sounds akin to that of angry ghosts. Towards this course of action they were taking, Lin Fan felt ashamed for them. Heck, weren't they too damned despicable? This heavens will of the ancient saint world was way too despicable. To think that it would render them assistance so damn brazenly. Even if the 3 of these consoles were to self-detonate, they wouldn't be able to create such a formidable amount of power. Evidently, everything that was happening right now was all due to the heavens' will's doing. PSHEW. As the arrow seared out, the sound that was created by it ripped through the void and rang out through the entire world. Under the might of this arrow, the void was exploding continuously. However, despite this, Lin Fan wasn't afraid in the least bit. Ants are ants at the end of the day. Even if you've got the help of an external force, it won't do much to give you guys the advantage. Lin Fan stretched out 2 of his fingers and clipped the arrow between them in a sandwich. The long arrow was in a frenzy right now. It struggled out violently under the might of Lin Fan's fingers, trying its best to break free from them and pierce Lin Fan to death. Instantly, Lin Fan's face changed. Yet another blinding light was emitted from the long arrow as it finally broke free of Lin Fan's grasp and started howling madly once more. Haha. Human. Your doomsday is here. The 3 consuls of the ancient race laughed insanely. For this one moment, they had been waiting a long, long time now. However, they did not expect this human to be this strong. If not for the fact that the ancient saint world had boosted them, their combined powers might have been blocked down entirely by this human himself. However, they were at peace and confident right now. There was no way this human was going to survive this right now. The heaven's will was boundless. It wasn't something that mere ants of the thousands of races could easily fend against. In the blink of an eye, the long arrow pierced through Lin Fan's body. However, it disappeared almost immediately after. Where are we? Initially, the three consuls of the ancient race were all ready to see the human explode into pieces. But to think that they were teleported to a weird and mysterious place suddenly. This is the paradise of yours truly. Do you guys really think that you can kill yours truly with just something like that? Lin Fan floated within his paradise and grinned coldly. Damn it, damn it. Kill him. The three consuls had not expected things to turn out this way as they burst out in rage. PSHEW. PSHEW. This long arrow that possessed a limitless amount of power started darting around the confines of Lin Fan's paradise as it burst forth to kill Lin Fan. Lin Fan kept his composure and floated gently within his paradise. Curling his fingers, the mythical parasol tree suddenly showed its might as countless branches burst forth from the ground into the sky, coiling and wrapping themselves around this long arrow. What's this thing? Our powers diminishing. This thing is absorbing our energy. Heavens will burst forth, wrapped by the branches of the mythical parasol tree. The long arrow was stuck in the air and unable to budge even a single inch. Just at this moment, something shocking happened for Lin Fan. Suddenly, the powers of the heaven's will that were boosting this long arrow dissipated before his very eyes, and were absorbed furiously by the mythical parasol tree. The branches of the mythical parasol tree began to tremble immensely as it creaked loudly. It's blossoming? Looking at what was happening to his mythical parasol tree, Lin Fan's expression changed. It had been a long time since a weird phenomenon as such had happened with the mythical parasol tree. However, the startling thing was that the mythical parasol tree suddenly sprouted out a flower with brilliant colors. Even though this flower was still pretty young, Lin Fan knew that every single change that the mythical parasol tree underwent was something that shouldn't be underestimated. Thud. The long arrow dropped to the ground in a thud. The luster on it began to darken down as its powers were gradually disappearing. Damned human. We can't accept this. We just can't accept this. The three consuls of the ancient race howled out with their last bit of strength in a high-pitched yet feeble voice. Gradually, there was nothing left of these voices. Ding! Congratulations on killing Divine Celestial Level 6, Law State Ancient Race Being. Ding! Experience points plus 250,000. Ding! Congratulations on killing Divine Celestial Level 6, Law State Ancient Race Being. Ding! Congratulations on killing Divine Celestial Level 6, Law State Ancient Race Being. Absorb. As Divine Celestial Level 6, Law State Ancient Race Beings, every single part of their bodies was extremely precious. Paradise, physical body, law, etc., even a single strand of their hair would probably possess an immense amount of power. Their paradise disintegrated, their physical body was broken, and their laws cultivated. Core smelt. Instantly, a gigantic river of power started flowing within the paradise. I've earned big time this time around. Lin Fan was exhilarated at this moment. Seemed like killing the ancient race beings was the best choice to make, especially when they were powerful ones at that. However, it was a pity that these three ancient race beings had forsaken their physical bodies in order to come and kill him. Because of that, all of their resources were expended into nothingness, leaving only a bit of that pure power that they possessed. If these three ancient race beings had not sacrificed their bodies, he might even be able to get at their storage rings and grab their possessions. Based on their positions in the ancient race, there would definitely be a decent amount of treasures to be taken. However, it was still pretty alright the way things were right now. The paradise had grown stronger after all. Also, that boundless amount of power in that long river was seeped within the paradise as well, nourishing the skill and weapon spirits. Outside, the beings of the succubus race were starting to get anxious at this moment. They wondered what had just happened. However, when they caught sight of the figure of that person, everyone was startled. That imposing figure of his, that calm face of his, that man was the mother*seeking human king. He was all right. As for the other three ancient race beings, they had disappeared from the face of the world. At this moment, Lin Fan was immersed deeply in his paradise. The weird behavior of the mythical parasol tree had attracted his attention. To think that the mythical parasol tree would blossom with a flower. Naturally, there had to be an ending to this. Could the heavens will be the reason behind this? However, how could he go and seek out the heavens will for more of its energy? Forget it, he would just make do with this for now. Based on his current strength, there was no way he could just head out and challenge the ancient saint world's heavens will just like that. Even if he could, there was no way he would seek it out right now. The fact that the mythical parasol tree had blossomed was a good beginning in itself. Looking at the beings of the succubus race below him, Lin Fan smiled casually. Leader, Ziyun and the others rushed forth from the distance. The moment they realized that their leader and the others were all right, they heaved out a sigh of relief. Vice versa, the leader of the succubus race was relieved over Ziyun's safety. However, at this moment, everyone's attention then turned towards this figure in the sky. The mother*seeking human king, Lin Fan. Just who in the world was this man? How could he be this strong? But, just as everyone was beginning to settle down, a pitch-black darkness blanketed the sky in the distance. The black clouds rumbled like the furious waves in the seas as they made their way over. Within this patch of black clouds, a sinister castle was faintly discernible. A sinister aura filled the entire sky with its sketchy movements. Be it ancient beasts or living beings, everything stood out of its way. Holy f***ck. Just which troublesome fella is it this time round? Chapter 627 Chapter 627, isn't this just a live broadcast? Lin Fan looked over into the distance as the black clouds surged through the entire place. This was a formidable aura, one so strong that it was causing others nearby to feel suffocated. This was especially the case for that castle that was faintly hidden within those dark clouds. It looked akin to a hell on its own. Within it, there were baleful howls of vengeful spirits and specters that were walking by. Just what kind of background is this *T from? Just as Lin Fan was still puzzled, the leader of the succubus race frowned as her face was slowly being filled up with horror. Lin Fan caught sight of this change in her expression and understood. The leader of the succubus race knew where they were from. Leader of the succubus race, who are they? Lin Fan asked. That's the moving palace of the evil alliance prince. The face of the leader was extremely terrible right now as she shivered uncontrollably. Compared to the ancient race beings earlier, she seemed even more afraid right now. Evil Alliance Prince? Even though Lin Fan did not know who this person was, he knew that there was an extremely nefarious syndicate known as the Evil Alliance. Could this Evil Alliance Prince be someone from that same Evil Alliance? Ziyun and the others were initially in the atmosphere of a new lease of life. However, at this moment, they lost that to the incoming dread. They knew that the Evil Alliance Prince was extremely cruel. Many fellow beings of the succubus race had been abducted by this Evil Alliance Prince. Before long, the only thing that was returned of their bodies were corpses that were completely dried up. The beings of the succubus race had no idea how the Evil Alliance were discovering them. Each time they changed a base or location, they would somehow be found by this Evil Alliance. They were extremely frightened in their hearts, like birds trapped in cages. To think that the Evil Alliance would come knocking right after they had just gone through an escape from being hunted down by the ancient race army. Mother*seeking human king. Please save us. Ziyun turned her gaze to Lin Fan and let out a look of begging. This mother*seeking human king before them was extremely strong. If he were to render his assistance, the succubus race might just be able to get out of this alive. However, the Evil Alliance was extremely strong within the ancient saint world. Each and every one of their members were extremely vicious and cruel beings. Not only that, this Evil Alliance Prince was someone who was extremely mysterious. Legends even had it that he was someone reigning over most of the Evil Alliance, with an extremely high status in that syndicate. When you guys have the chance, make your escape, Lin Fan looked over in the distance. However, his vision was in fact cast even further from where he was looking. He could sense a feeling of detection that was sweeping over towards him. It seemed as though someone was observing him from somewhere far behind. The moment the beings of the succubus race heard this, their faces changed. Could it be that even the mother*-seeking human king wasn't a match for the evil alliance prince? However, thinking back at the methods of the evil alliance prince, it was understandable. The previous leader of the succubus race was someone who did not agree with the evil practices of the evil alliance as well. Therefore, she stood up against them in resistance. Eventually, she was taken down with ease before she could even have a chance to retaliate. Mother*-seeking human king, you should be the one to leave first, please. Since you're not a match for them, there's no need for you to needlessly sacrifice your life for ours. The leader of the succubus race sighed. Eventually, they were still far too weak. So what if they could escape once? How many more times could this carry on? No, it's not that. While the evil alliance prince may be strong, he isn't enough to have me being afraid. It's just that there's going to be an even more fearsome existence that will descend upon us soon. Even though Lin Fan was pretty nervous in his heart, he felt that he had an obligation to do this. If he hadn't witnessed it for himself, the anxiousness within Lin Fan's heart wouldn't be removed no matter what. We can stay here and help you. The leader of the succubus race replied. The one who would descend before us later should be an utmost being of the ancient race. Lin Fan flicked out with his finger. Instantly, a fresh drop of blood appeared. Take this drop of blood with you guys. Take good care of it. The moment the beings of the succubus race heard these words of Lin Fan, their faces changed immediately. Even their breathing got hurried. You utmost being of the ancient race? These words were akin to having the heavens toppling before their very faces, rendering them weak and powerless. In fact, their hands and feet were running cold instantly at the sound of these words. If they were to compare the evil alliance prince with the utmost being of the ancient race, that would be comparing a toddler and a full-fledged adult. Lin Fan had seen this day coming a long time ago. After all, his behavior had been way too outrageous. The way he was squashing the ancient race beings was akin to squashing ants. The Despair City, the Sovereign King Wei, the ancient race army at the Fire Water Secret Grounds, those were countless ancient race beings. This has severely threatened the dignity of the ancient race. There was no way the utmost being himself was going to let him off. And, since the ancient race beings were no match for him, the only way to take him down was for the utmost being to appear personally and smother Lin Fan within his cradle. If Lin Fan wanted to escape at this moment, he could do so. No one would be able to stop him or find him out. With the existence of the system, Lin Fan wouldn't even leak out a single drop of his aura. Furthermore, the stealth ability of his was really strong. As long as he didn't sell himself out, even the utmost being of the ancient race wouldn't be able to find him, and would have no way of doing so. However, Lin Fan knew that the utmost being was really strong. As to how strong he truly was, Lin Fan had no idea. Therefore, he had to witness it for himself. Just one glance, that was enough. As long as he could determine the strength of the other party, he would have a target to fight for in his path forward in the future. Go on. Lin Fan's battle intent was high-strung right now as his blood began to rumble within his body. Utmost being of the ancient race, this was the most powerful existence within the entire ancient saint world. True, he might not have the strength to fight against him now. But, if he didn't even have the courage to face him, that'd be way too cowardly. Mother*-seeking human king, please turn around, Ziyun spoke up. Why? Lin Fan asked puzzledly. Taking in a deep breath, he turned around and smiled while asking. Ziyun clapped her palms together. Instantly, a light screen appeared before his face. It was like a camera that was recording everything before his face. After that, Ziyun's palms danced, causing this light screen to disintegrate into numerous portions that flew out into all directions. What's that? Lin Fan asked curiously. This is the mirror light curtain, an innate skill of the succubus race. I'm dissipating these light spots out into all directions of the ancient saint world so that all the living beings can accept it. From there, they could then witness everything that's happening right now. Your noble act must be made known to every single living being in the ancient saint world, and carved into our hearts for life. After all, you're the sixth person who has ever dared to face up an existence such as the utmost being of the ancient race. At this moment, Lin Fan's heart leapt with joy momentarily. To think that there was something as such in this place. Wasn't this just the same as a live broadcast? To think that the ancient saint world would have something this advanced. However, thinking about how he was going to appear before all the living beings of the ancient saint world, Lin Fan could not help but groom himself up a little from head to toe. No matter what, he had to come off more presentable. Instantly, those bright light spots were spread out across the world. Somewhere far in the distance, a being of the thousands of races caught sight of this light spot and grabbed it in his hands. Instantly, an image appeared before him. On the image was Lin Fan and the beings of the succubus race. In the chaos that ensued while the mother-seeking human king saved the succubus race from the grasp of the ancient race army, he killed countless ancient race beings. The evil alliance prince has arrived. And soon, the utmost being of the ancient race shall descend upon this place as well. Initially, this being of the thousands of races had wanted to squeeze this light spot into nothingness. However, the moment he heard that announcement, he froze up. You utmost being of the ancient race. These words were like the demons in the hearts of any beings of the thousands of races out there. It was enough to send the chills down one's spine, causing them to shiver uncontrollably. Some of the beings of the thousands of races who were once rescued by Lin Fan from the Despair City had now entered some of the different sects. Desolate Ancient Dragon Sect. A being of the thousands of races who was once rescued by Lin Fan was just living his days idly right now. Thinking back about his tormented days back in the Despair City, he could easily appreciate the freedom and carefree life of his right now. However, just at this moment, a small little bright light spot found its way dropping down gently from the skies. The being caught this light spot in his hands as a screen instantly appeared. At that moment, his expression changed. The moment he heard the announcement from within, his ears reddened with excitement. Everyone, hurry and come over. The mother-seeking human king's going to face up with one of the utmost beings of the ancient race now. This living being was someone of the dragon race. Therefore, his voice was extremely robust. Especially at this moment, that single roar was earth-shattering as it vibrated out into all directions. The moment the members of the desolate ancient dragon sect heard it, they were immediately displeased by this disturbance. However, the context of the roar had their faces changing almost immediately as they rushed over from all directions. Mother-seeking human king, Lin Fan. This was a name they were familiar with. After all, this was the idol of their hearts, the idol who dared to clash head-on with the ancient race themselves. Translator's thoughts, Lam oh, wow. Are we truly going to meet with an utmost being right now? Suddenly this is getting more hyped by the chapter. Also, what's that drop of blood right there? Cheers. Chapter 628 Chapter 628 Too bad for the evil alliance prince. Translator, Lam_editor, Hitesh_ in the district ruled over by the utmost being, cruel. Most of the beings of the thousands of races who were living life on their last breaths were forced to hide in really covert places. Mother-seeking human king? Who in the world is this guy? To think that he would dare to face off with the utmost being of the ancient race? At this moment, in a really secluded Shangri-La existed a being of the thousands of races who was once rescued by Lin Fan. By chance, he had come across this Shangri-La. The members of this Shangri-La had kind-heartedly taken him in as well, allowing him to reside at this place and become one of them. Because his personal strength wasn't all that bad, he thus took on the role of a teacher at this place to impart the ways of the martial arts down to the children who were born here. At this moment in a wooden hut, he was explaining something with a smile on his face. Teacher, is that mother-seeking human king truly that strong? We think that our teacher is the strongest. A child from the Horn race asked innocently. Haha, I'm naturally the strongest one in your hearts. However, all of you guys know that the mother-seeking human king is way stronger than I can ever be. Wow. I really want to know how the mother-seeking human king looks like. Just at this moment, a bright light spot flew over. The man caught it with his palms. He knew that this was an innate skill of the beings of the succubus race. Usually, it didn't have much use for it. However, each time the succubus race conducted a ceremony of their own, they would always transmit these bright light spots so that the beings of the thousands of races could observe and watch. Could it be some sort of ceremony once more? However, the moment he caught a hold of the bright light spot and watched with his hands, his face changed into a look of respect immediately. Guys, look. That's the mother *seeking human king, Lin Fan. He called out excitedly. The surrounding children began to hype up as well as they looked at the light screen curiously. To think that he would dare to clash headstrong with the utmost being of the ancient race. This man is indeed my idol. At this moment in yet another secluded forest, the righteous party was undergoing yet another mission this time around. In order to rescue the beings of the thousands of races, they had spent much effort each time. However, as a result, they had lost quite a number of members as well. Even though it was pretty heart-wrenching, this was a process they couldn't do without. Leader, it's him. It's Lin Fan. He's going to go up against an utmost being of the ancient race. What? Everyone from the righteous party dropped everything on their hands and encircled over, watching intently without making a single sound. Within the Cloud sect, Grandmaster, this is bad. Lin Fan is going to meet with an utmost being of the ancient race. Meng Hengtian exclaimed anxiously. The moment Grandmaster Yun heard these words, his face changed immediately. Wasn't this just courting death? However, when he caught sight of the figure on the light screen, he could not help but let out a sigh of exasperation. Lin Fan stood there, his face calm right now. You guys should leave first. Staying here at this moment was something that Lin Fan was doing willingly. Even though coming face to face with an utmost being of the ancient race was undoubtedly an act that was seeking death, he knew that he had to take a look at the utmost being once at least to ascertain his strength. As for that evil alliance prince, Lin Fan wasn't too bothered about that person. All he could say was, tough luck for this guy. The beings of the succubus race looked at Lin Fan as a feeling of awe arose within their hearts. Actually, we can all leave together. Zi Yun offered. She knew that this mother *seeking human king before her was really strong. However, the utmost being of the ancient race was simply way too strong. This man is definitely no match for him just yet. It's all right. The utmost being of the ancient race had always remained secretive all this while. In fact, even the beings of the thousands of races do not know just how strong that utmost being is. Ever since I ascended into the ancient saint world, I had been bullied by the ancient race all the time. Naturally, I must stand up against this. Today, I shall take a look at this so-called utmost being. Even though I may not be a match for him, he would definitely have to expend some effort if he truly wants to kill me, Lin Fan replied. If you know that you're not his match, why do you insist on staying then? The leader of the succubus race asked, unable to understand his intents. If he knew that he was clearly going to lose, why was he so insistent on staying right here? That's because I want to identify just how strong this utmost being of the ancient race is. As long as I know his strength, I would then have the hope to know that I can kill this utmost being one fine day in the future, Lin Fan replied calmly. Lin Fan was indignant about all of this. To think that one single utmost being of the ancient race could act so cockily about everything. If he could tell just what the other party was made up of along with the help of the system, he would definitely be able to kill the other party through that information. Furthermore, who knew if something good might come out of the meeting later on? That was not entirely impossible to say either. Even though the chances were slim, they were not entirely nil. Hurry up and leave. Don't stay here any longer. The evil alliance prince is about to reach as well. By the time he's here, I may not be able to hold him back. Lin Fan continued. Take care. The beings of the succubus race did not hesitate. Instantly, they disappeared from where they were and dashed forth into the distance. At this moment in the far regions of the Black Cloud Palace sat a man draped in red robes, with a high and mighty attitude. He was surrounded by a bevy of ravishing girls. All of these girls were extremely flirtatious, as they fondled every single part of this man's body. This man let out a nefarious grin. Those clean, white hands of his were fondling the girls that were standing beside him as well. When he exerted a bit more strength, these girls started moaning in low tones all around. "Prince, the beings of the succubus race have escaped," an underling reported while prostrated on the ground. "HMPH? Run? Where can they run off to? To think that those ancient race beings would dare to steal away the toys of your prince here. The reason why your prince rushed over here was to have the ancient race beings hand over my toys. To think that these beings of the succubus race would have some capabilities to be able to escape on their own. And now, they're thinking of escaping from your prince here once more? Do they truly think that your prince is someone they can escape from so easily?" The Evil Alliance prince chuckled. "Prince, how are those beings of the succubus race even comparable to us? Who knows? Perhaps, the reason why they were let loose was because the ancient race beings were tired of playing with them?" A girl beside the Evil Alliance prince remarked with a tinge of jealousy in her tone. Huh? The moment the Evil Alliance prince heard this, he let out a weird-looking smile. "Are you trying to say that your prince here has been made a cuckold? Prince, you're so naughty." The moment the girl heard this, she let out a look of fright. Immediately, she patted on the prince's chest and tried to giggle this off. "Huh? What are you laughing at?" The Evil Alliance prince held out his palm with his fingers outstretched. Instantly, the girl was forced into a kneeling position before his knees. A bright red light flashed out, and she was turned into a dried-up corpse immediately. "Do you think that you're someone who can take a jab at your prince here?" The Evil Alliance prince disintegrated this corpse as he said in a grim tone. The surrounding girls broke into a cold shudder. Immediately, they started serving the Evil Alliance prince with even more fervor. "Chase after them, chase harder. They want to run? We'll see if they have the capabilities to do so," the Evil Alliance prince ordered. "Yes, Prince." This underling bowed down his head in respect. However, just at this moment, the entire palace started to tremble. The black clouds that were surrounding the palace were cleaved aside by a single flash of bright light. "Who is the one who dares to stand in the way of your prince here?" At this moment, the face of the Evil Alliance prince changed immediately as he bolted up from his seat. His face was frosty right now as his eyes were filled with a burning rage. To think that there would be someone who didn't know what was good for them. "Prince, there's a living being who's blocking our path." Good, good. Go out there and check out just who is it that has the balls to hold down the palace of your prince here." The Evil Alliance prince tossed his robes aside and took a step out. The moment he stepped out, the girls behind him seemed to have lost every single bit of essence, spirit, and vitality in their bodies as they turned into dried corpses. His methods were cruel and demonic. His body was replenished by stealing the cores of others he came across. Translator's thoughts. lamb_lamb_ a Shangri-La is a paradise of sorts. Now, does anyone else think that this Evil Alliance prince is going to get crushed by the utmost being's arrival before Lin Fan even gets to deal with him? That would make for a terrifying entrance, right? Cheers. Chapter 629. Chapter 629, to think that it would be this small. Translator, lamb_editor, Hitesh_. To be honest, Lin Fan was someone with quite the vendetta against the rich. This was especially the case for this Evil Alliance prince. At the start, he hadn't taken a good look at all. However, when the Black Cloud's palace flew over his head, Lin Fan realized that this Black Cloud palace was an upper-graded Dao weapon. This was the richest person that Lin Fan had come across so far. What sort of riches must any beings of the thousands of races possess in order for them to have a Dao weapon in their hands? Needless to say, it was probably only that handful of them who could possibly afford it. After all, the beings of the thousands of races couldn't craft out weapons of their own. If they wanted a treasure, they would have to snatch it over from the jaws of the ancient race beings. To think that the Evil Alliance prince would be riding on an upper-graded Dao weapon right now. This meant that the Evil Alliance must be pretty strong. The beings of the succubus race had already left this place. Naturally, Lin Fan could not allow the Evil Alliance prince to catch up with them. Therefore, he used a single swordwell to cleave the black clouds that were shrouding this palace instantly, revealing the true shape of this palace. The image from the innate skill of the succubus race was sent over to the eyes of the beings of the thousands of races. The moment the palace appeared before their eyes, all beings were startled. This infamous name of the evil Alliance Prince was quite the shocker to some of the beings of the thousands of races. Not only was he strong, his methods were cruel. The most gut-crunching thing was that this evil Alliance Prince would only target female beings. Not only that, he would suck them into dried-up corpses each time. These methods were way too cruel. Way too cruel. None. Who is it that dares to hinder the path of your prince here? At this moment, those golden shining doors of the palace slammed open. Countless light beams burst forth from it, causing the sky to shower and fill with floating flower petals. The evil Alliance Prince, who was draped in red robes, walked out of it flamboyantly. He stood upright in the void and glared at Lin Fan. "Are you the one who is blocking the path of your prince here?" The evil Alliance Prince asked in a stern manner. Those sinister eyes of his were checking out Lin Fan right now. He did not know the background of this living being right here. To think that he would dare to strike out at his palace. Was this guy tired of living? Lin Fan swept a casual glance over at the evil Alliance Prince. Divine Celestial Level 7, all in one state. Strong, very strong indeed. Even the Sovereign King Wei isn't his match. However, this was the very type of strength that would give him the guts to chase after the ancient race and demand for the beings of the succubus race back. Even though it was widely known that the ancient race was the ruler of the ancient saint world, to put it bluntly, power still came before that. The evil Alliance Prince had an upper-graded Dao weapon in his possession. Therefore, his powers weren't something that any mere divine celestial level 7, all-in-one state beings could deal with. Lin Fan did not have his gaze stop at the evil Alliance Prince. Instead, it was still cast further back into the distance. He could sense an aura striding through the void and heading towards his direction speedily. Lin Fan's heart was skipping really quickly as the fresh blood in his body rumbled. The utmost being of the ancient race, cruel. This was an invincibly horrifying character. He was so strong that he could raise the hackles of people. Lin Fan's heart was beyond nervous right now. However, at this very moment, this path was something that was chosen by him. Even if he were cheated, he would have to bear with it. The reason why he had handed a fresh drop of his blood over to the beings of the succubus race was so that he could leave a final path for himself. Even if he were really beaten to a pulp by the utmost being of the ancient race, he could still go through rebirth through blood. HMPH, your prince here is asking you a question. Are you deaf? The evil Alliance Prince was angered right now. He had realized that this living being was ignoring him. This guy was totally not giving him any bit of respect at all. Who was he? He was the bloody evil Alliance Prince. He was an existence that ruled over practically everyone. Not only that, his cultivation state was earth-shattering. Even in the ancient saint world, he was an existence that could only be described as overbearing. He reigned over all the ants of the thousands of races. With a single notion of his, he could easily seize their lives if he wanted to. But to think that a living being would be ignoring him right now. How could this not anger him like this? All the living beings who were surrounding and watching the screen right now could feel a knot in their stomachs. Yes, it was true that the evil Alliance Prince was strong. However, none of that would matter once the utmost being of the ancient race arrived. This evil Alliance Prince is acting so brazenly at this moment. However, this would be the way he would die tragically here, that's for sure. Haven't you guys seen how the mother *seeking human king is just ignoring him? It's evident that the one who would arrive later on must be the utmost being of the ancient race. That mother *seeking human king has just admitted with his very own mouth that he isn't a match for the utmost being of the ancient race. Then, why is it that he's choosing to wait here for the arrival of the utmost being? Hasn't the mother *seeking human king answered that? His motive is to check out the true face and strength of the utmost being of the ancient race. Does any of you even know just how strong the utmost being of the ancient race is? At this moment, all of the sects and all of the Shangri-Las began to discuss fervently. All of them knew that the events of today would serve as a morale booster. However, the thing that was worrying them was that if the mother *seeking human king wasn't a match for the utmost being, how was he supposed to keep his life later on? None. To think that you would court death as such. Since that's the case, your prince here shall grant you that. The evil Alliance Prince grabbed out with his hand. Instantly, that bloodied hand transformed into a set of white bones. Under the bright gleam of light, it emanated a brilliant radiance as though it was ready to cut through everything. Lin Fan stood there without budging an inch. He couldn't be bothered with the attack of the evil Alliance Prince at all. At this moment, he was only concerned about the utmost being of the ancient race. Nothing else mattered in the face of that. Go to hell, clang. His claw-like grip landed on Lin Fan's chest. However, as though it had just slammed into a metal plate, a ringing sound rang out. Lin Fan swiped his hands and activated bare nudity instantly. In the blink of an eye, the evil Alliance Prince realized that his body was feeling chilly, and his nuggets were receiving the loving frost of the cool breeze outside. At the same time, the evil Alliance Prince was in utter disbelief that his skill would have no effect at all after landing on the body of the other party. In fact, the other party didn't even budge a single inch. This didn't make any sense to the evil Alliance Prince at all. How could this be? He lowered his head and realized that there wasn't even a single thread left on his body. His face turned extremely terrible. The moment the beings of the thousands of races who were watching the light screen saw this, they nearly spat out an entire mouthful of blood from their mouths. To think that things would turn out as such. At the very beginning, they had thought that a fearsome battle would definitely break out between the mother-seeking human king and the evil Alliance Prince. But they hadn't expected things to take on such a dramatic twist. Haha, look at that little donger of the evil Alliance Prince. How tiny is that? If I were not looking closely, I wouldn't even be able to tell it out at all. I'm afraid that the evil Alliance Prince doesn't even know just yet that the beings of the succubus race are using their innate skill to transmit all of these images to us of the thousands of races, right? That skill of the mother-seeking human king, it's so strong. Lin Fan turned around to look at the evil Alliance Prince. He then shook his head gently, to think that it would be this small. As a man, there was no way the evil Alliance Prince could endure such humiliation. How dare you treat me as such? However, so be it. As long as I kill you here today, no one else will ever find out about this. This was a soft spot for the evil Alliance Prince. There had been no one else who had ever known about this, not even those girls that were surrounding him. That was because the moment they found out, it would be the moment they were turned into dried-up corpses. The only way for others to not find out is for it to not exist in the first place. Can you see what that is? Lin Fan pointed out with his finger at a bright spot of light that was floating in the skies. Suddenly, it opened up into a screen. On this screen was the current state that the evil Alliance Prince was in right now. The innate gift of the succubus race. The moment the evil Alliance Prince caught sight of this image, his face changed and was looking as terrible as it could be. Yep. I suppose that the beings of the thousands of races must all know about it by now. Lin Fan replied. UB**STARD. Since that's the case, I'll just have to kill every single living being of the thousands of races who are watching this right now. The evil Alliance Prince's face was menacing right now as his eyes shone with a boundless killing intent. I don't suppose that you've got that chance any longer. Soon, the utmost being of the ancient race is about to arrive here, and I suppose that you're just going to have to die here, Lin Fan replied indifferently. Utmost being of the ancient race? The face of the evil Alliance Prince changed momentarily. However, he burst out laughing soon after, you damned thing. How dare you try to trick me still? How could the utmost being of the ancient race possibly arrive here? This is a lie that even a 3-year-old wouldn't believe in at all. To think that you could even spout out such nonsense. He's here. At this moment, Lin Fan's face froze up. His body bolted upright as an aura surged into the heavens. At the same time, the face of the evil Alliance Prince changed as he looked over at the distance. That initially furious expression of his turned pale as a sheet. He mumbled out in disbelief. How could this be? Chapter 630 Chapter 630 Don't forget to rob even at the brink of death. Translator, Lam_editor, Hitesh_today, sh*t is truly going to get real. Lin Fan's small little heart was thumping furiously right now. If it were anyone else, they would probably have been scared to death by now. Even if it were Lin Fan, he was now starting to shiver a little uncontrollably. Although, this was a shiver of anticipation. To be put bluntly, this was the sort of nervousness that one would get when one finally met a gigantic boss that was countless times stronger than oneself. The moment Lin Fan caught sight of how the evil Alliance Prince was right now though, he was stumped. Wasn't the reaction of this guy somewhat exaggerated? Lord Utmost Being. Please spare me. Somehow, the evil Alliance Prince was kneeling on the ground by now. Not only that, he wasn't even wearing a single piece of garment on his body, and was just kowtowing furiously without stopping. The continuous thudding sounds of the evil Alliance Prince were causing the firm ground to seem as though it was about to tear apart somehow. By now, the entire head of the evil Alliance Prince was filled with blood. Given his strength as a divine celestial level 7, all-in-one state being, even if he were to smash the ground of the entire ancient saint world to smithereens with his kowtows, it shouldn't even cause a single bit of harm to his body. However, there was no way he would dare to use his powers to protect his physical body right now. After all, this was the utmost being of the ancient race that they were talking about. The evil Alliance Prince was totally flabbergasted at this moment. He did not know what in the world was happening. Why would the utmost being of the ancient race suddenly descend upon this place? He wouldn't even start to doubt that the monstrous momentum that was surging forth wasn't from the utmost being of the ancient race. After all, he had caught sight of a pair of eyes that was looking down on the entire world from that surging momentum that was approaching. That was a might that could only be found from an utmost being of the ancient race. Lord Utmost Being. Please spare my life, please spare me, please. The evil Alliance Prince was someone who was really haughty and arrogant. However, at this moment, arrogance was going to serve him Jack's *T. As long as he could live, that was the real truth there was to it. All the beings of the thousands of races who were surrounding the light screen at this moment held their breaths in a still silence. For all these beings, this was the first time they were going to catch sight of the utmost being of the ancient race. Even though the utmost being himself has yet to appear, that pair of eyes in the far distance was already enough to have their hearts thumping furiously. Some of the more cowardly beings of the thousands of races were already starting to tremble in fright. As for the evil Alliance Prince who was kowtowing non-stop, they had long forgotten him to the back of their heads. After all, the only thing that they were concerned with right now was none other than the utmost being of the ancient race. Somewhere in the depths of space and time, within a place that seemed like hell, Palace Master T the Prince has bumped into the utmost being of the ancient race. At this moment, an underling who was wearing a pitch-black armor reported anxiously. What? On that jewel throne sat a figure shrouded in a black mist. Even though his features couldn't be seen clearly, it was evident that he was entirely startled at the news. How in the world would my son bump into the utmost being of the ancient race? At this moment, the figure leapt to his feet. However, he collapsed back onto his seat in helplessness. Initially, that upper-graded Dao weapon of the evil Alliance Prince floated gently in the sky. However, the moment the weapon spirit within sensed this remarkably formidable aura, it landed onto the ground immediately. Taking the form of a black-robed man, it started kowtowing on the ground furiously just like the evil Alliance Prince was doing right now. What a formidable aura! Lin Fan stood there as his body shivered uncontrollably. It wasn't that he was afraid. It was just that this aura was way too repressing, pressing down onto him like a gigantic mountain, leaving him helpless to resist. Master, the utmost being is approaching. You've got to be careful. Ziguang was the most familiar with the utmost being. This was an aura that he had suffered under for 1,000 years. Each time he felt this aura, it was a form of torment for him. Master, let me out. Let your trainer King duel with him for a good 300 rounds and have him tamed under my electroconvulsive therapy treatment. The Thunder Trainer King yelled out excitedly. Seeing this excited look on the Thunder Trainer King's face, Lin Fan was exasperated as well. Who in the world gave him such tenacity? This guy was going so crazy over the thought of being able to train such that he hadn't even bothered to check out the strength of the other party, had he? Lin Fan looked at the distance with a fixated gaze. He was determined to verify the strength of the utmost being of the ancient race. Mother *seeking human king, Lin Fan? So, you're quite the new aunt, eh? However, since you've killed several millions of my ancient race beings, all have you die here today. Before the utmost being of the ancient race had even arrived, his voice was brought over first. This voice was similar to thunder, booming out and causing the entire world to rattle under its might. In fact, as though the void couldn't even withstand this surge of power, they began to rupture out continuously. A single voice that could cause the void to tear apart, this sort of power was way too horrifying. Looking at this scene, Lin Fan could not help but acknowledge that he was far from this level just yet. The utmost being of the ancient race wasn't worth his name for nothing. Even though this aura was pretty strong, shouldn't he just bloody hell and appear? If he were to come out and kill yours truly just like that, then yours truly would, fine, admit defeat. But now that such a long time had passed and he was still hiding, was he trying to put on an act of bullsh*t as well? Forget it. He can come out as he wishes then. Yours truly is done being an audience here. At this moment, Lin Fan cast his gaze over at the Evil Alliance Prince and let out a grin momentarily. The Evil Alliance Prince was completely crumbled within his heart right now. The moment the utmost being of the ancient race spoke up, he was even more panicked. Fear, a sense of fear that he had never ever experienced before, finding its way into the mind of the Evil Alliance Prince. Evil Alliance Prince, how long more are you going to kowtow for? Lin Fan came before the face of the Evil Alliance Prince and smiled. Why you? Don't talk to me now. Now that the utmost being of the ancient race is here, we're all going to die. Don't stand beside me. At this moment, the Evil Alliance Prince had no mood to act brazenly and arrogantly. In fact, even his speech was starting to stammer. Why, you were the one who brought the Lord utmost being here. Don't drag me into this. Please leave. I'm begging you. Please leave. The Evil Alliance Prince had never imagined that the day would come when he would be dragged into trouble by a human. There was no one else at this place right now. Therefore, other than this guy, who else could the mother*seeking human king that the utmost being had mentioned be? Hatred. Why the hell must he have chosen such a timing to appear at this place? Couldn't he have just been a little bit later? If only he were that bit later, he wouldn't have bumped into the Lord utmost being like this. That ring of yours looks pretty decent, eh? How about you pass that over? Lin Fan took a look at the 10 shining and sparkling storage rings on the hands of the Evil Alliance Prince. Right now, he wanted to get his hands on those. Why, you're a madman. You're insane. Here, you can have them all. All of them. I'll give you everything. Just hurry up and get lost, and don't stand beside me. This is an utmost being of the ancient race we're talking about. The Evil Alliance Prince was completely stumped right now. Without any hesitation, he took down all of his storage rings and tossed them over to Lin Fan. That arrogant attitude on his face was long gone by now. Replacing it was a look of request. He was beseeching the other party to not stand beside him. If the utmost being of the ancient race were to think that they were in cahoots, he would definitely be in for it. Lin Fan had not expected that the utmost being of the ancient race would be this terrifying in the eyes of the beings of the thousands of races. Indeed, this was pretty unexpected. Lin Fan shrugged his shoulders and walked towards that upper-graded Dao weapon slowly. There was already a consciousness attached to that upper-graded Dao weapon. Therefore, it could cultivate on its own. Looking at how the human was making his way towards him, the weapon spirit was scared out of its wits as well. Lin Fan smiled indifferently. Taking advantage of the panicked manner of the weapon spirit, Lin Fan absorbed it into his paradise entirely. Even though the Evil Alliance Prince was furious upon looking at this scene, he did not dare to take any actions at all as he continued with his kowtows. He could only hope that the utmost being of the ancient race would take him as a fart and just let him off like that. However, the Evil Alliance Prince knew that even that had an extremely slim chance. As to running or whatnot, the thought had never even crossed the mind of the Evil Alliance Prince, running before the utmost being of the ancient race. Wouldn't he just die even faster that way? Boom. Just at this moment, the explosion rang out. The void began to erupt repeatedly as a figure appeared in front of everyone in the blink of an eye. A berserk aura caged everyone within it. This was a supreme might right here. Translators thoughts lamb_lamb_. Alright, as funny as this was, I'm going to call bullshit on this. If he knew that the utmost being was just focused on Lin Fan, why wouldn't he just bloody run, right? Wouldn't the utmost being just ignore an ant like him? Ugh. Oh well. At least he's finally here. After one chapter. Gosh. Also, I'm going to be replying slower in the comments on these few weekends because World Cup. Hey face with tongue.